Here's a very easy garnish to make using our Swiss Pro peeler, a zucchini, and a tomato. I call it our tomato rose flower display. The first time you run your Swiss Pro over the zucchini, you'll peel it. The next time you'll slice it. Use these slices as a curl. There's one. Now use another one. They create beautiful ribbons. That creates the backdrop for our garnish. Now take the Swiss Pro and just use it to peel your tomato. Just give a little wiggle all the way around. Now you naturally use the tomato for your soup, stew, or sauce. Just follow the edge all the way around. The peel is what we're going to use to create our tomato strip rose. That goes into our sauce, soup, or stew. Now just take and wind the tomato skin around to create a beautiful flower. Use that flower, place it right in the center for your beautiful tomato rose. Now we're going to create a citrus rose using the same technique. Use the Swiss Pro to peel the outside skin off the orange. You can do this with a grapefruit, lemon, or lime. You'll be making different color flowers. As soon as you're finished with the peel, just begin to roll up the citrus skin the same exact way as we did the tomato. And that'll create our citrus strip rose. To create a fun orange strip design, use the Swiss Pro and the side knife. That side knife is great for garnishing. Here is a simple design. Use the side knife to run down the side of the orange, making the strips an equidistant apart. Just stop before you get to the bottom or else you'll cut your strips off. Go all the way around the orange. Next, take a sharp object or pen and place a hole right at the bottom of each of the strips. Go all the way around the entire orange. Take each strip and interlock them one to the other. Go all the way around, following the same design on the orange. To finish the garnish, take your paring knife, cut a little piece off of the top. Take a carved rose, place it right into the center, and this is a great orange design. Use the Swiss Pro peeler to peel the outside of your carrot. This garnish is fun, simple, and easy to do. Start at the top, go all the way down. It also shows off one of the great attributes of the Swiss Pro peeler. Just go all the way around. Stop before you get to the bottom. This is great to do with a carrot. It's a wonderful garnish on the side of any kind of salad or platter. It's also nice to do this with a white vegetables such as a parsnip. If you do it with a parsnip, you can then dye the edges with a little food coloring. Red, green, blue, or yellow. And this is a great vegetable design. Let me show you the carved rose using our Pro paring knife. The Pro paring knife is special because the end is very flexible. This shows off how flexible it is. First, cut your potato in half. Cut a little piece off of the end. Take your knife and just peel the skin off of the outside of your potato. To get started, on a 45-degree angle, not straight, on a 45-degree angle, cut your first petal. That's petal number 1. Turn it, cut down, 45-degree, petal number 2, petal number 3, petal number 4, and petal number 5. One more for 6. Now take the edge of the paring knife, just like you peel the skin off of an apple, the same exact way. Just take and cut a circle all the way around. Now when you practice on a potato, if it doesn't come out nicely, don't waste your potato, just mash it. You'll have mashed potatoes for dinner. Your next row of petals, just go right in between and create your next row of petal, just staggered all around. Cut a ring out, there's your second set of petals. When it comes out nicely with a potato, don't you dare mash it, just put a little butter or margarine and you bake it. Wrap it in foil. They are absolutely beautiful when served like that. Cut a little piece off of the bottom so it sits up on an angle. Now use a little sliver of red beet. That red beet is like having Mother Nature's paintbrush to brush that over the tips of the vegetable, and that's how you get the white flour with the red edges. Using the same technique, cut on a 45-degree angle on your radish. First, go all the way around. Step number 2, take the edge of the paring knife and cut a circle all the way around. There's your first set of petals. Now go right in between for your next set. Petal number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take the edge of the knife and you cut another circle out. Keep on going. Depending on the size of the vegetable will determine how many rows you make. And there's your flour. Now use a little sliver of red beet again. Brush that over the tips of the vegetable and you'll get your red edges on the white radish. Use a toothpick. Slide the toothpick in, and that's how we display the flowers on the potato that way. Little food coloring. We use a Tico food coloring. That creates those beautiful colors, very vivid. Yellow or fuchsia or hot pink. That's how we create our yellow rose. This is a great platter, a lot of fun. Now we're going to make an apple bird. First by cutting a little slice off of one side and 2 slices off of the other. Now save the pieces. We'll be using them. That'll be creating its wings. The piece that we cut off the bottom first will be its head and its neck. Now, to create the wings, take your paring knife, just cut V wedges on each side to create the feathers of the bird. There's one wing. Take your paring knife. Repeat the same process. Going all the way around by just making feathers. And take a toothpick, 1 or preferably 2. Slide them in. Slide each wing on. That creates the body and the wings. We now need to make the head and the neck. Take your paring knife and to carve your head and neck out of the piece we cut off of the bottom. Go all the way around. That's the general shape of the head and the neck. Now we're going to cut a little piece out for his eyes. Take a clove or peppercorn or an apple seed. Place that right in for the eyes. Trim off any excess. Now cut V's to decorate the bottom of its neck. Take 2 toothpicks to secure it onto the body. Slide that in. take a little piece of wire trimmers to trim, and I like to place and countersink each of the toothpicks. This way they're disguised. Now we're going to take another apple. We're going to use this as a base. Take 2 toothpicks, slide them in to secure the apple on the base. Now the 2 pieces for the side, that's what creates its tail. Just take your paring knife and cut the V's to shape its tail. Cut a little slot in the back. That's what the second tail feather will fit right into. Secure it with a toothpick right on the back. Slide that on. We'll do the same thing on this other piece. This garnish, of course, is beautiful for a cheese tray or relish tray. Naturally, you can keep it from turning brown 8 to 10 hours. A little bit of lemon, lime, grapefruit juice, any citric acid. Fasten that last tail feather with a toothpick. That's how I create a fancy apple bird. You can use a different color apple. Using the different color apple makes a nice base. This way you have alternating colors. There's our fancy apple bird. Here's another apple bird we're going to be using. To create this, just take your apple, cut a little piece off the bottom. We'll cut one more, a third of the way. Now we're going to cut slices on each side to take each of these quarters apple. We're going to save them because that's what's going to create its wings. First, secure the body to the base by sliding 2 toothpicks in. That's what's going to make the wings. We're going to layer and stack them up. First, we're going to cut one. All these slices will go right out, and they'll be layered right on top of each other. This gives it a very dramatic effect, and it's very simple to do. There is the first set of wings. Carefully arrange them. Just fan them out. Take a toothpick. Slide a toothpick straight down to secure it into place. That last piece we'll use to camouflage the toothpick, sliding it right on top. Now we'll do the same thing to the other side. Take your knife, make slices the same way we did. Fan them out just as we did the other side. Take a toothpick, and again, we're going to use the same technique to fasten them into place. Again, use that piece just came out of there to camouflage the top. We're going to use another apple. First, cut the ends off of the toothpicks. Now we're going to create the head and the neck the same way as we did before with the fancy apple bird, by just carving the head and neck out of the piece that came right off of the bottom. There is its beak, and now we're going to do its neck. We'll create an eye on one side. Use a peppercorn or a clove. trim off any excess and create some feathers up the side of the bird. And just attach it with a toothpick. Cut any excess toothpick off. I like to use a little pair of pliers. And again, countersink the toothpick this way. It's hidden as much as possible. We're going to use one more apple. Cut a little piece off of the bottom, off of the top, and this makes a nice base. Now we'll put one last piece for its tail feather. We'll take and use the same technique of cutting those V's. This technique is great when used with melons, apples, to make shells, or also feathers, just as we're doing here. Cut a slot right in the back, and we'll put his second set of tail feathers right behind it. Slide 2 toothpicks in, attach the first set of tail feathers. I'll put the next set right behind it. Again, take your knife and cut those V's right out of the second set of tail feathers. That's a very dramatic apple bird. Here's our onion mum. Take your paring knife, just cut straight down. Each cut will create the petal of the onion mum. Now I like to use white onions because they'll absorb the dye. Yellow onions don't absorb dye very well. If you use a white onion and don't dye it, you'll make a white flower. If you want to dye it, a little food coloring in water is all we're going to use. Just keep on going, repeating this process all the way around. Now, of course, leave the root end on. That's what holds the entire flower together. This is a very, very simple garnish to create, but it's very dramatic, especially when you color it. The secret's in how to color it. That's what really gives its dramatic effect. After you finish cutting the petals, clean off any excess, and now you see how it begins to open up? We're going to take some toothpicks, slide that right into the root end. I like to use at least 3 so it's secure, and then I like to fasten them, put the fasteners all the way into the onion so it's very secure when it goes onto the base. We're going to dye it with some food coloring now. Food coloring mixed with some water. I like to use Atico. Brilliant colors, very high quality. Now to dip the onion, I like, of course, having it attached to the base. It creates less of a mess. I use some paper towels. This way the dye does not get on your hands. You can place it right on the platter this way. I made a yellow and a red onion mum. Now I'm going to show you how we make a fish out of our melon. Just take a slice off the side. This could be watermelon, honeydew, cantaloupe. Really makes no difference. Just cut that piece, and this is what we're going to use to make our fish. I like to use scrap pieces of melon anyway, instead of throwing it away. Just take your paring knife and cut out the shape of the body of the fish and its tail from that slice of melon. Now I just take and break away any of the excess pieces. If they don't go all the way, if you haven't cut all the way through, just continue cutting to take each of the pieces out. Now we have the fish. Just take your knife and just carve any excess off of each fin. Now we're going to give him a little mouth. Take your paring knife and carve a V to create his mouth and his lips. And we're going to use a melon baller for his eyes. Take your paring knife, just carve right around that circle that you just created. That creates his eye. Clean up any excess with your paring knife. Put a little peppercorn there for the center of his eye. Of course, he needs some gills to be able to breathe. Cut that out with the paring knife as well. Now decorate the top and bottom fin by just using that same V technique, this time using our paring knife. Do the same thing to the top fin as well. And now we'll use the same technique to decorate his tail fin. And there's our wonderful melon fish. Just trim off any excess of his body with the paring knife. And there's the melon fish. Now we're going to first use our Swiss Pro peeler to peel the outside of our melon. When we first carve the melon rows, we need to start with a clean surface. So the first thing you do is you peel the skin. The Swiss Pro peeler does a fantastic job on peeling the skin off the melon. It's very difficult to do, but watermelons, honeydews, cantaloupes, same exact way. We start to make the rows by taking our paring knife and drawing a circle out right in the center. The circle creates the foundation of our flower, because after we carve the circle out, you then take and just carve right behind it. Just cut around the edge. This way that circle stands right out. Now we're going to start on the inside. Take your paring knife and just draw a C. This will create its first petal. Go right in behind it. There's our first C cut. Now just halfway, create another C-shaped cut. Go right behind that. It's like we're creating little half moons. Just continue that same process all the way around. We first work from the outside to the center of the melon. Again, take your paring knife and repeat that same process over again. When we get to the center, we'll finish it off with a little different technique. But depending on the size of the circle, will determine how many petals you actually cut in here. It really doesn't matter how large or small your melon is. It'll just vary the amount of petals that you make. Now I like to clean up the outside. Before I make my next cut. Keep on going all the way around. Now when we get to the center, I like finishing it off by just cutting a couple wedge shapes. Perpendicular to each other. That creates a nice center of the rose. So now we did the inside of the flower. We now have to do the outside all the way around. And it's the same exact process, just cutting C's, C-shaped wedges. There's our first one, and we just cut out right behind it. Here's our first petal on the outside. You see how it's nice to reveal a little bit of the red flesh? That gives it a very dramatic effect. Halfway, just stagger them the same exact way. Cut your next C shaped right behind that. And just keep on going all the way around the melon. And again, depending on the size of the melon, will determine how many petals you actually make. Just keep on going. We'll cut a couple more petals to the outside here. There's our rose. Now we need to create some leaves on the outside of the rose. And we'll carve them right into the side with the point of our paring knife. First, there's the second. Just pop out any excess. To make them stand out, we'll just cut a little piece out from behind to give it a three-dimensional effect. Use your peeler to peel off any excess skin so we can keep on going here to create more leaves of our flower.